All right. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everyone. How's everyone's Wednesday going?
Very
Love
good.
it.
Good? Hump day?
Yeah.
You're out of hurricane season, Ashlyn?
Oh my goodness. Yes, hurricane season is officially over in Florida. I had to evacuate twice this hurricane season, and I've evacuated 3 times in the last couple of years. Actually, 4 times in the last couple of years since I moved here. So, yeah.
We've
But
got
it's fun
Uh,
the rest of
we
the
got a
year.
fire just that way over the hill in Malibu right now. So
Oh my
Oof.
goodness.
people are evacuating over here.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's definitely the trade-off. I love living in Florida, but if there's anyone here listening in that's in Florida, hopefully everyone was okay, as well as North Carolina. I know we all got hit
Yeah.
pretty bad. But so excited to welcome everyone to our webinar. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Just wanted to do a quick audio and visual check, and then we're gonna get into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And I would love to just hear from the panelists here as well as the audience listening in. Just could you guys pop into the chat and let me know if you can see and hear okay or good?
yep, looks good to me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have everyone here. I hope everyone survived Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I feel like we're in that really awkward time in between Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Christmas, and we're just like kind of trying to get shit done in between. So I appreciate everyone taking the time. But so excited to be able to come together and really just reflect on all of the learnings and insights from Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and not only hear from this amazing group of panelists that we have here for you today, but also hear from you guys in the chat. So I'm really going to be looking for a ton of engagement in the chat to kind of tell us how you guys fared through BFCM and what you're thinking about going into 2025. I want to kick us off with a fun icebreaker. I want to ask what everyone is wanting from Santa this year. So go into the chat. This is going to be your first opportunity to get engaged. At the end of this webinar, pretty much at the very end, so you better stick around to hear it. We're going to be doing a giveaway where we're going to be giving away a whole bunch of swag. And this is not lame swag that you typically get from like conferences. Most of the brands here have designed actually pretty sick swag. We have the Because hoodie, which I'll show you guys in a second in my profile picture. We've got a tracksuit from Heatmap, which is actually adorable and like super trendy. We've got some gift cards. We got swag from all the brands here. So if you engage the most in the chat, you guys will be walking away with some gift cards and swag at the end. So everyone drop in the chat right now. Let us know what you want from Santa. What's on your list this year? Chase, what are you thinking you want from Santa this year?
There's two. One is like a thing, one is something that's just not possible. I want like 2.5 hours to go see a movie by myself with no kids involved, which is a non-starter.
What movie
That
are
sounds
you?
like such a dad request for
Well, so I had two. I wanted to go. So my mother-in-law came and I was gonna go see my tattoo artist and just get all the things that I have in the backlog done and be gone for an entire day. And it just never worked out. So like a movie would be nice. I wanted to go see Gladiator, didn't happen. So that
Oh my gosh.
such is life. And I was telling you guys about what like the fact that I wear the same thing over and over every day. And so I'd like to cycle through some hoodies. So maybe a nice hoodie from my wife where she'll be like, why is this $185?
Oh yeah, all the hoodies these days.
Yeah,
Chase,
yeah.
you're a simple man. All you want is a couple hours to yourself and a hoodie. It seems like
Yeah, life is
happy.
I can get anything else I want. It's easy. Once you distill it down to its lowest form, there's not much you really need.
That's
Just
very,
some time and something to keep you warm.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, it looks like Marie Antoinette wants a puppy. What kind of puppy do you want?
Oh, yeah.
That's a preference. I really want a wiener dog. They're just so cute. Lisa here has a couple wiener dogs, and
Oh,
just
the
that's on my wish list.
I love a
Breville.
long hair wiener dog. So cute.
Oh my God, the mini Dobermans are actually adorable too. I just feel bad
Oh,
for their
they have
ears.
mini Dobermans now?
Those are the ones that have they have to like tape up their ears, right? I don't know about that, but
That's
they're
wild.
cute. Um,
Ashland, what about you? You
well,
looking for you looking for a ring this year?
I hope my boyfriend is not listening to this webinar. Yeah, I would love a ring this year. That'd be great. No, I think I'm with Chase. I would love some time to myself and some relaxation. Mark's calling me out in front of everyone.
Uh,
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. As an introduction, I'm Ashland. I'm the founder and CEO of Because. We are a website personalization and CRO platform for Shopify brands. We are joined by some amazing partners and panelists today. I'm going to let them each introduce themselves, but we have representation from Heatmap, from Digioh, and from Intelligems. I'm going to be your MC. I'm going to be basically trying to make sure none of these guys talk your ears off and actually move this thing along. And then all of these guys are going to be providing hopefully some amazing insights on what we all learned through Black Friday and Cyber Monday and what we are going to be thinking about going forward into 2025. So a little bit on me. I think I mentioned I live in Florida. I'm a survivor of many hurricanes. Love pickleball. If we got any pickleball fans here in the chat, I would love to just like not do anything and just play professional pickleball. I think that sounds like a great idea. I already introduced Because. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our first speaker, which is actually on my team, Mark McComas.
Yeah, it's great to meet everybody. I'm Mark. I'm based in Redding, California. So, Chase, I can definitely relate to the whole wildfire situation. It happens every year. Before I worked at Because, though, I was actually on the brand side at the brand called the Adventure Challenge. I'm sure many of you have heard or seen them. They're that scratch-off date book, really cool company there. They're also based out of where I live. And yeah, I'm a dad of one. My daughter turns 2 on Saturday, so pretty exciting there. And a massive Star Wars fan. Like, if I could get a gift from Santa this year, it would be tickets to Star Wars Night at Disneyland on May the 4th next year. So that's what's on my list. So yeah.
Love it. I love it. That's such a classic Mark answer.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get introduced to our next speaker, Noah, who is the head of partnerships at Digioh. You want to get us a little intro from yourself?
Yes, great to be here. Thank you, Ashlyn. Ashlyn and I go way back. One of the first people I met in e-com at Shop Talk 3 years ago. But yeah, I've spent my entire career in SaaS actually, co-founded a health IT company out of school, but I've spent the last 8 years in MarTech, 5 of them in enterprise MarTech, working with, the biggest brands in the world, Nike and Marriott and Delta. And 3 years ago, I joined the Shopify ecosystem and built the partner program from scratch at Malomo, which is an order tracking solution based here in Indianapolis, where I am, and joined the Digioh team earlier this year in March to run it back and build another partner program. So really, really stoked about this ecosystem and Digioh in general. Digioh is the leading marketing efficiency platform for e-com brands, and excited to be here and talk through ideas today. Thanks, Ashlyn.
Awesome. All right, let's get introduced to our next speaker, Chase, who is the CMO over at Heatmap.
Hey everyone. Really excited to be here. Been with Heatmap since before we launched to the public. So about a year and a half ago. Worked at a company called Pencil AI. We got acquired last year. Used to be a media buyer. I am a father of 3, and we had a birthday last week, Mark, and there was 125 people there. It was a
Whoa.
hellscape. It was a hellscape. A lover of rom-coms. The Holiday is my favorite, and I watched something last night. Amelia Clark was in it, and it's called Last Christmas, I think. And it was a very easy watch. Like if you're looking for something to just throw away, I had my laptop. I was doing a little bit of stuff, and it was very easy and not terrible to watch. Sometimes you throw one of those rom-coms on, you're like, oh, this is from the Hallmark Channel. It was not the actual
I
real.
just watched one the other day with Rachel McAdams and I don't know, a few other people. It was the worst Christmas rom-com I've ever seen. If anyone remembers the name of this movie and can remind me, please let me know. It was absolutely terrible. Would not recommend. All right, Sam, let's get an introduction from you, head of partnerships at Intelligems.
Yeah, excited to be here. Yeah, I've been in Intelligems for almost 3 years now. Intelligems, we're, a profit optimization and CRO kind of A/B testing platform, working with Shopify brands. Before being at Intelligems, I worked actually more on the testing side at a company in the ride sharing industry, kind of doing all kinds of testing and optimization on our dynamic pricing kind of algorithm, and revenue ops there. I love kind of building companies and solving problems and taking things from 0 to 1. So I've done that in a few ways here at Intelligems. Kind of set up our sales motion, and over the last year or so have been building our partner program. So excited to be partners with all of these great folks. And yeah, my fun fact here is I'm just a huge hobbyist. I love picking up hobbies. I do some of everything. I was mentioning to the rest of the folks here that I am a beekeeper on the side. I've taken up sewing recently. I sew I'm a big cyclist, so I've been getting into sewing bike bags, saddle bags and handlebar bags and things like that. So if anyone wants a bag, hit me up.
You're
yeah,
fun. I just want to hang out with you. I love it.
anytime, Ashlyn.
That's awesome. All right, are we ready to get into the fireside chat? We've got some cute graphics here to make us feel cozy for the holidays. All right, so we're going to be running through a bunch of questions, and the way this is going to work is I'm going to be passing it off to two folks for each question to kind of give us some of their insights. We have 6 questions prepared for you guys. We have a 45-minute webinar. We're going to get you out on time. We're going to really be jam-packed with a bunch of information on learnings from Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then really how we can take those learnings and crush 2025. So my first question is, what's one capability or strategy you think will become crucial from Black Friday and Cyber Monday to have success in 2025? And I'm going to pass it over to Noah from Digioh to give us the first answer.
Cool. Kicking us off. Love just ripping off the Band-Aid. Okay, so this is not necessarily just a Black Friday, Cyber Monday tactic. It should definitely be put into place all year long, but especially around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I think it's really important because it gets lost in translation very easily. And that is not to just focus on acquisition. Brands really need to be focused on list growth and zero-party data capture as well. And, a big reason for that is with rising CAC, it's really almost impossible these days to be first purchase profitable, especially around Black Friday when you're probably running some of your biggest discounts and sales of the year. So brands really need to be sure they can retarget their customers or prospective customers based on each customer's preferences to bring them back using engaging and personalized experiences. So an example would be showing a pop-up to a first-time site visitor who visits on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, with an additional incentive for leaving their email or phone number so that you can retarget them, again, whether or not they purchase that first time they hit over the holidays. Even better, taking that up a notch, would be incentivizing a bigger sale or figuring out some way to incentivize to take a product recommendation quiz. And I know a lot of brands and maybe some agencies might push back on that, especially around the holidays, because you're just trying to drive that purchase. But we see on average across our customer base that first-time site visitors who hit a website and take a product recommendation quiz are 5 times more likely to purchase after that quiz when they get their quiz results and the recommended products. If they're anywhere else in the customer journey, so anywhere after post one site visit, let's say, you're 3 times more likely to purchase. So it's going to drive it's going to drive CRV up. But on top of that, you're collecting all the super, super rich zero-party data that you can then use to retarget even after a person leaves that site. So what we talked about earlier, being first purchase profitable being extremely challenging these days. This is a great way to not only drive more conversions, but also collect the data that you need to retarget them post holidays as well.
I love that. I love that you mentioned that now as well, because I'm sure there are some brands that were ahead of the game that started capturing all that zero-party data during BFCM. But if you guys are on this call and you haven't started capturing that zero-party data, do it before Christmas, because you're probably going to have even more site traffic on your site over the next couple of weeks. And there's literally no better time of the year to be starting to capture that zero-party data, and to Noah's point, convert 5 times better. That's amazing. I'm going to pass it over to Sam from Intelligems. I'd love to hear, what kinds of thoughts do you have on this question of what kinds of strategies were useful during BFCM that are also going to be very useful going into 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that was really interesting, so I was kind of prepping for this question and chatting with our head of services and kind of looking at some of the data from all of the tests that we ran and everything going on with our customers. And one thing that kind of came to mind for me is just figuring out how holiday offer strategies fit into like your larger offer strategy. Like obviously Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it's sort of the Super Bowl and a big kind of lead up to that, but it's not the only opportunity. And so one thing that was really interesting insight from this year is that, of course, like we had a very long lead up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday this year, since it was so late in the year compared to usual. And one thing we saw from looking at kind of industry and like some of our individual customer benchmarking is that actually we still saw the same level of volume spikes on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but we saw higher sales volume on the lead up and a longer period of gains. And actually we saw a lot of brands launching sales earlier compared to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like days out. So, you know, if it was like, typically they're launching 7 days before and kind of that ramp up, we actually saw brands potentially starting at the beginning of November. So it was like several weeks, a couple of weeks ahead of time. And they were continuing to do higher sales volume. So, and one of our customers, and actually this happened with many, last year launched, I don't know, that sale a week or so ahead of time and did a lot of volume, but had a pretty big drop off in November ahead of it, like as customers are just waiting for deals and they're kind of projecting and waiting for that to happen. And so we kind of found that launching earlier, we didn't see that kind of tail, or not tail, but that like crater ahead of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So that's a tactic to think about, is how are you kind of fitting this into your overall offer and promotion strategy? And we found that it was like quite effective to actually start earlier and have this kind of ramp, potentially not even a step up, but just capitalize on like all eyes on this. You're not getting that big drop before Black Friday and then this huge volume on Black Friday. And we've actually even seen that like the shopping hangover is not necessarily worse this year compared to previous years. So actually the longer ramp seems like it was pretty good. So that's one thing to think about. It's like, how is that fitting into like, I don't know, your Christmas or I don't know, whatever sales that you're doing.
I was thinking the same, like, how does that play into Christmas? I don't know if anyone here is still like scrambling for their Christmas shopping. I know I am. I just paid $40 in shipping to make sure that something got here in time for Christmas. But I think
literally because of Black Friday being so late this year, I have felt like not at all in the Christmas spirit. And I'm sure most people
so late.
Like,
and
I'm
I
still
feel
Thanksgiving mode.
It's like a chore, right? Like, it's like, I got to go get a present for everyone on the list. I got to get like rush shipping on all of it. But I think that's super insightful of like starting the sale earlier and how that played out this year. Awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. So the next question that we have for all of you guys is, which page elements, so the specific elements on the page on your site, drove the most engagement during peak traffic, obviously BFCM, and how can brands optimize this and capitalize on this going forward into 2025?
Okay, I'm going to read some stats and then I'm going to give context around them. Okay, so forgive me for reading. Didn't memorize this one. So product pages, we saw 40%, and this is all Heatmap data across the 170 million odd dollars that we tracked over the course of that 4-day period. 40% of traffic was from product pages. So shoppers were ready to make purchases, not just browse. Collections pages had about 25 to 31% of daily traffic. So there was a bit of browsing going on. So that's second in the hierarchy. Home pages saw about 10 to 13%. And checkout and cart pages had about 13 to 16% of the traffic. So that's people adding to cart, going and considering, are they going to actually make the purchase, and then checking out from there. So what would I take from this? The two things I would take from this is your homepage is always really important for you to have optimized, and making sure that if people fall out of number one or number two, which is your product pages or your collections pages, they're able to then interact with something that will move them into another part of your website. But really the idea here is, where is most of your traffic coming from? So I think during this period and going forward, it's always really considering, where is my traffic coming from? Where do I have the most opportunity to actually drive impact for the business? And so product pages and collections pages are those two things. It really depends on what kind of product you have. And so collections pages, what I would say is, this is for a company that has an assortment of, say, like 10 plus SKUs. Product pages are for when you can have funnels for 1, 2, 3, or 4 hero products that you're going to be able to send traffic directly into. But collections pages, I see most of the traffic that's being directed there is predicated on the SKU size that you have there. So, again, Dylan always calls me the above the fold king. I want to always be really focused on what's happening before that, because you have a 70% drop off from that bucket to all the rest of your page. And essentially your the quality of customers goes up, but the volume of customers goes down. So you have this delta between when people land and when people go to the second bucket below the fold on your page. So in your product pages, make sure you optimize for mobile and figure out what's going on that product page, and make sure your CTA does show before the page break. I think this is like the #1 cardinal sin of creating mobile optimized experiences is everyone post-click has their website. If you put it into a mobile viewport, do it on your just do it on your computer. Use the inspect function. It'll give you an opportunity to put it in an Apple viewport. You will see that your CTA is usually below the fold, and it's like 20% below the fold actually, and you're giving a lot of information that's not actually going to help people make the purchase. Here's your insurance on this. Here's free shipping. You're like, put that below the button. Let them scroll to the button, say, okay, here's all the stuff that I was expecting, but let them see themselves making the purchase. And so whether it's a product page or a collections page, make sure people understand that there is a revenue creation moment that they're going to have with you, or a purchase moment that they're going to have with you. So that's what I would give based on that information.
That's so interesting that so many brands actually do make that mistake, because it kind of feels like it would be obvious. But I think it's such a good point that you really do have to be checking all of those breakpoints and making sure that your add to cart button is above the fold, which is just absolutely critical. That, like you said, there's like nothing more important than making sure that's above the fold. So make sure that's taken care of, everyone, before Christmas. Cool. Well, I'm excited to hear from Sam from Intelligems and see if you have any more thoughts on what page elements you think are most critical.
Yeah, so kind of building on what Chase said, I think like one of the elements that is above the fold and kind of is top of the page is like that banner at the top. We've definitely found that brands are generally underutilizing the banner, and typically we'll put like a free shipping offer, which is definitely great. And as Ashlyn was saying, like especially as we're getting to a time where that's the most important thing to people, it can be good usage of that real estate, but most customers have come to expect that. So actually swapping that out with either a value prop or, you know, really clear information about what your offer is like really high impact, and also making that clickable. So Sherry, to your question about like a landing page that speaks to a product, something like that, like make that clickable, send it to something that like gives your purchaser or, you know, that particular audience the information they need to purchase, whether it's like reiterating the offer or reiterating the value of the product and more product education. And so one thing that you can really do is test and iterate and find like what is the right messaging for that like top banner per audience, and go and personalize that as well. Like it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. I know we all love to personalize, so that's a great place to do that. And then the other thing that kind of came to mind is just making sure that like your offer is again reiterated all throughout the page. So for example, like if you're doing an offer that's not site-wide and it's just, you know, I don't know, 40% off on like these particular items, making that really clear. So there's, you know, like a little chip on the collection page for each of the items, and or like that collection page is brought to the top, or you have a sales section. Just make it really easy to navigate and find the ways to get the value, as Chase was saying, like what is like the revenue generation moment? Like how are they going to find and actually take advantage of your offer?
Yeah, I love that idea of just like making it as easy as possible. Don't make the buying experience hard. I always talk about this as well with the top bar. I love that you called that out, Sam, because if you guys go to like 9 out of 10 e-commerce sites, it's going to talk about free shipping above a certain threshold. Alaska and Hawaii, I would hate to live in one of those places because they never get free shipping ever. And no one ever uses their top bar for anything more unique. So I think that's such a good call out to like think about that experience that site visitors' eyes are being drawn towards, but actually using it for more strategic like life cycle moments, whether it's a new customer versus a loyal customer, etc. Cool. Well, I want to do a quick check-in because we're about at that halfway mark. Is this feeling helpful just for the audience? If you guys are thinking that this is helpful, put the word helpful in the chat. If it's not helpful, we would love to hear that too. So please put not helpful and then we can adjust accordingly. And then okay, we're getting some helpfuls. Awesome. I also would love to remind everyone about all of that amazing swag that we're offering. So we want to see all that chat engagement. I want you guys to like fight to the death in the chat for that awesome swag, so that you guys can get awarded that at the end. So we're going to be tracking how often everyone's engaging, as well as the value of your chat engagement. So don't just put random stuff in there. Okay, so moving on to the next question. I love the swag. Visual examples. Okay, that's good feedback. I think we'll take that into account for next time. Thank you. All right, so next question we have is, can you share examples where dynamic content drove high conversions during BFCM and its impact on 2025 planning? So dynamic content. Mark from Because, do you want to kick us off with that question?
Yeah, I would love to kind of echo off of what everybody's already been saying thus far is like BFCM's expanded, right? It's no longer that like 1 week time period anymore that we're kind of used to. And so BFCM being an entire month long now, it feels like all of November is Black Friday. Attention is just at a premium, right? So we've seen that using dynamic content and dynamic personalization really has helped cut through the noise of just all the messaging, all the like flash sales, everything like that that's happening, and bringing personalized messaging to your VIP customers really does help drive impact, drive conversion. And so one of our customers did something pretty unique. They were able to identify their VIP segment with Klaviyo, and then using Klaviyo segmenting and doing a unique message on site, they launched their fall release. That's like a big bestseller. It's almost got like a cult following this specific product. Customers are getting this messages and, email and SMS, but on site they weren't having this cool experience of just like seeing where this hidden product was because it was kind of like a hide and seek challenge almost. And so what they did is they created a top bar that was underneath their navigation, kind of like what you're talking about, Ashlyn, and it spoke to this specific offer. Now, all these customers are technically eligible for this offer, but this was a personalized site experience for these VIP customers. What's really awesome about this is over a 10-day period, this brand saw a 9.5% lift in conversion rate and over $6,000 in additional revenue just by having this personalized VIP experience on Top Bar. They weren't giving away anything. They weren't increasing any extra discounts or anything like that. They just were showing up and treating their customers like the VIPs that they are with that dynamic content on site. What's really great about this example is that it wasn't complex, it wasn't flashy, it was very simple. And this is strategies that they're now taking to all of 2025. So they like tested this out during that peak season to see like, can we cut through the noise and give our customers something special, right? It's almost like bring back that doorbuster mentality from Black Friday years ago. They just were giving their customers something special, and it consistently won out for them during BFCM. And now they're taking it all the way through to 2025, and it's like reshaped all their strategies. So it's just a great reminder that even in the peak crazy seasons, sometimes more is more, and also sometimes just doing that VIP treatment really does win. So
More. I love that. For any of the chatters, do any of you guys use Klaviyo? I'm just curious if that would be useful for anyone. Because I love that mindset, Mark, around like actually connecting that Klaviyo experience into the site to really give like a special offer to those VIP customers, as opposed to just like a brand new site visitor that like might not care about a product drop because they don't even know who your brand is. So that's awesome. I want to pass it over to Chase from Heatmap. Do you have any thoughts around just some of the examples of dynamic content that worked really well during BFCM?
I have less of a dynamic content because we're not necessarily seeing exactly when people are switching things in real time. We take screenshots, etc. I can talk more about a personalization strategy that that a customer used that I thought was absolutely brilliant. They brought it to us and we helped them like parse through the data. Essentially, what they did is they went and looked at their top 3 landing pages, whether it was a homepage or PDP, whatever it was, and looked at the different AOV buckets within that page, and said, okay, where are the people who have an AOV that we're really excited about? Let's just call it our high converters. Let's just call it $100 or more. What are they interacting with that leads them to a purchase? What are they not interacting with? Then next bucket, let's just say it's 50 to 100. What are they interacting with? And then what are they interacting with? They then went and looked in their back end, figured out what those people were, and then went and enriched the data to say like, what is an actual profile of these people and this look like? So they made 3 specific groupings of what their customers were. It's, by the way, this stuff is all actually very easy to do. You can go and use enrichment tools like Clearbit pretty simply to get us firmographic data on people. And they built funnels for each of these segments of people. So they built creative, 3 or 4 different creative that they tested a little bit beforehand and then moved into it. And then they built the landing pages for, you know, the 100+ people. This is what their experience should be like. For the 50 to 100 people, this is what their experience should look like. And they segmented their budgets to skew towards the higher end people and said, okay, for the higher end people, we're going to spend this much. You kind of get what I'm getting for. So there's a bit of a waterfall towards that. So they personalize the experience based on the kind of customers that they could expect at every different type of, or every permutation of the website. So it's less of a dynamic personalization, more of a personalization front loaded based on data extraction, which makes a lot of sense based on what they came to us for. And it worked remarkably well. And so I think people can do this very simply. You don't need a data scientist to do this. You can use Heatmap to go and figure out what's going on your pages with your AOVs. You can go into your backend, even with Shopify, export the data, throw it in ChatGPT, and just say, hey, I want to know what customers in the list have this, what customers this, and they will create a CSV for you. Take that CSV, put it into something like Clearbit or one of the other firmographic enrichment tools, and it will give you a picture of who those people are, what they like, what their jobs are, what their share of wallet would look like based on how much money they make, and what their salary and household looks like. And you're able to then start curating those experiences for them specifically in the messaging, etc. So that's an example I saw that I was really impressed with.
I love that. I love that you shared as well, like how to do it. Cause I think so often in these kinds of like webinars, you hear the idea and then you're like, well, how do I go do that? Also love that ChatGPT is involved. I feel like I'm cheating on a daily basis using ChatGPT. Does anyone else feel this way? I feel like I literally am just moving 10 times faster than I did last year.
I go like I have a 40-inch curved monitor, and I just have Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Claude, and I'm just moving between the three, having them like research here, data export here, make it actually good here. So yeah, absolutely.
It's so powerful, but I've started to get to the point where I challenge ChatGPT so much that it like breaks on me. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but if you start to be like, that doesn't sound right, or like you start to kind of tell it it's wrong, ChatGPT will like kind of freak out and like go into error mode. It's actually quite funny.
Well, yeah, I like pushing it on the research. I'm like, hey, research this. They're like, oh, but I'm like, I don't really believe that. Can you go find more? I'm like, oh, I found this on Gemini, and it loses its mind when you tell it found something on Gemini. It's like, no, we'll find it. And works harder, I feel.
Yeah, you gotta just keep pushing it to work harder. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we move on to the next question, I want to give a little of a hint of who we think is engaging the best so far in the chat. So we have a couple of contenders, and I'm going to let you guys fight it out. We have Brent, we have Marie Antoinette, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. We have Kazri, cool name. You three are the ones that we have our eyes on so far. That doesn't mean that the other people can't still join in over the next 10 minutes. But we're looking for that most valuable chatter that we're going to be giving away at the end, right before the 45-minute mark. All right, moving on to the next question. So we have, where do you see brands missed opportunities to optimize post BFCM? Let's help the audience here not miss any of those going forward. Chase, back to you.
Where do we see brands missing opportunities?
Sorry, questions for you, Chase.
No. Where do we not see them? I think again, I'll kind of go back to I'm just going to focus because we don't have 30 minutes for me to kind of go through every single part of a website. What we talked about is there's a few main things. One of the ones that I see regularly that people don't focus on whatsoever is the FAQ on their page, especially if they have a limited SKU count. So there's less volume for people to interact with. There's also less information out there because maybe you're a newer brand and you have a limited SKU count. There's less trust. There's this brand I like recently. There's two examples I give you. One is called Newtonic, and what they do actually is the first thing on their page is their Trustpilot reviews. Like, it's the first, you don't see the product, you don't see any USPs. It's just Trustpilot 4.7 thousands of reviews. I thought that was incredible. I know that's not leading to the FAQ section, but it is leading with those. And then FAQs, there's a great one from a company called Everyday Dose, and they're mushroom coffee. And they have one, I think it's their second one now, their second question now, which is will I trip balls, which is super cheeky and fun. And that was down at, I think, number 8 before they started seeing the data around the most people were clicking on that. Now, they needed to have like some information around T's and C's around, interacting with them as a company, but that was the second one. And it's a huge amount of volume. And they then saw that data, say, okay, we've messed around with the order of operations here. We've scoped this down from 12 questions to 8. Now we're going to move this up 2 buckets on the website so that it gets more visibility because more people are interacting with it and it's leading to purchases. So that's one really huge missed opportunity. I think the other one is the one I led with Newtonic, which is bringing your social proof into the conversation much earlier than post first or second first or second bucket. The idea is like make it just not be part of the conversation anymore. Like it's there, we've said it, we've stated it. If you want to go deeper in like research, by all means do the work, but we have essentially said like we want to be very open, honest, and transparent. We're awesome. And so here that is, and whether you're massaging that information or not, that's not for me to tell you what's right and wrong. But leading with that allows people to kind of take a breath, especially if they're a new product that they haven't interacted with, and say, okay, I'm going to now go with an open perspective on actually interacting with your product and possibly making a purchase. So those are 2 things that I think people think, okay, well, I'll have my social proof and I'll have my FAQ, and they're just throwaways, and they're opportunities to actually drive people to a purchase much more quickly. Because everything is about just removing consideration and getting them into, as Dylan likes to say, alligator brain. So it's the alligator and the judge. You want to get them the alligator brain, not be the judge. If you make them think, well, how many reviews do they have? Like, I want to understand a little bit more about their product and what they're doing. You're always you're gonna lose people very, very quickly. So
Yeah, those are things that are like the FAQ one is just so, I've never heard someone say that before. So that's just so awesome. I feel like most of the people listening are probably like, okay, gonna go check out my FAQs, make sure those are cleaned up. Also, I love the idea of just making your FAQs like funny and relatable because it's just a like surprising kind of approach.
Exactly. Most people will take it and just say, okay, I'm going to write the most boring, sterile thing possible. It's like, well, we're all human beings. We all like to laugh. We're all talking about movies at the beginning of this. Same thing applies. Like they just want to feel like they're having a human interaction, not something that a lawyer wrote. Like your lawyer should check it out, obviously.
Let ChatGPT write it.
Make sure that they're okay. They don't redline your comedy. But yeah, absolutely.
I love it. It's always funny when ChatGPT tries to be funny. Mark on our team has a ChatGPT that's programmed, and it's just programmed like a dad talk. Like I think he says like a dad. I'm like, Mark, this is like your own personality is coming out through your ChatGPT. All right, Noah, take us away. What are some of your thoughts on what missed opportunities brands have post BFCM?
First of all, Chase, shout out. Influence is your superpower, I think, is where you got that reference of the alligator and the judge. And great book. Highly recommend. And couldn't agree more. I love this question too. Every answer I'm going to give is going to be somewhat like related today. So we're gonna keep it on theme. But when it comes to like specifically leaving money on the table post BFCM, I think not being able to identify your site traffic and therefore not being able to really personalize on site or email SMS experiences is just a massive, massive miss. So similar to what we talked about earlier, right? Many new customers hit your site to take advantage of your best deals of the year. But now you really need to implement engaging, personalized, compelling tactics to bring customers back to shop on site. And true personalization is really the best way to accomplish this. However, unfortunately, that's really harder than ever today, really due to cookies going away, iOS and Android privacy changes, new rules and regulations, it seems like every day or every week. So the key to still unlocking real personalization and being able to accomplish this is zero-party data. And I'll just run through a couple examples of how zero-party data and identification can be super powerful in driving those repeat purchases. So, if a customer came to your site on BFCM, so just take the first use case I talked about, they dropped their email for a slightly bigger discount, but they never purchase. You could target them with a pop-up the next time they come back to your site saying, welcome back, and bringing them to a product or a category page that they searched when they were there the first time over the holidays, maybe incentivize them with another little coupon or something like that. So get really, really personalized based on the fact that you know who this customer is, you know exactly where they are in the buyer journey, and now you can sort of optimize their buying funnel from there. If you're a subscription brand, let's say, and somebody actually purchased over BFCM, the next time they hit your site, target them with a pop-up showing them the benefits of subscribing and saving. So again, by being able to identify exactly where they are in the journey, we can drive subscription adoption. Last but not least here, and it's probably, well, I don't know if it's too late to implement if you have this capability, but if they purchased on BFCM and they visit before, let's say Christmas, or before your shipping can still get to them before Christmas, show them a pop-up incentivizing buying gifts for their friends and family. You know that this is somebody who really loves your brand. They just bought something and they're already coming back for more. What great way to drive LTV and possibly acquire some new fans from the gifting side of things than incentivizing that sort of behavior. So we talk about all the time that like identification is truly the crux of personalization, because without knowing who each customer is when they hit your site, it's literally impossible to provide them with a personalized experience. So those are some ways that I think brands are still leaving money on the table.
I love it. I love how you're like, if you have time. I was gonna say
geolocation. Like today.
Yeah, you're like, the FOMO is there. I think geolocation targeting could be such a cool way to incorporate that as well. Of like, if you're in a place where you can't actually receive it in time, because you don't want to promise it getting there by Christmas if they can't. So incorporating geolocation into that would be really cool. Yes. Okay, so I want to give a final update on the most valuable chatter. There are two people that we think it's between right now, and this is the final fight for the last 4 minutes. Guys, I'm so competitive. I just love to drive competition. It is between Brent and Kasri. So we're going to be looking to the two of you guys over the next couple of minutes, and we're going to announce it in 4 minutes. Let's go into the last question, and then we're going to announce our winner. Which testing strategies delivered the most valuable insights during BFCM? And I'm going to turn it over to Mark from Because.
Yeah, this is such a great question, and we have some really cool data around this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody in the chat real quick, how many of you guys have free shipping countdown in your cart currently? Just put like cart in the chat, because I'm just curious. Okay, you do.
Sure,
Yep. Yeah, most of you guys do, right? So what I'm going to talk about is free shipping, but on the product page. So one thing that's often so overlooked around the free shipping threshold is the product page experience. Now, this might not be the most groundbreaking thing here. Like I have it in the cart, but take a look at this data I'm about to share with you, because this is pretty fascinating. So this brand had free shipping messaging in their cart, but all of us are shoppers here. We add to cart, we go look at the cart, we're like, okay, shoot, we're like $20 away. We go back to shopping, we're trying to go around, we add to cart, or it's like playing that game back and forth. When we displayed dynamic free shipping messaging on the product page, specifically with this one customer instance, they saw a 6% lift in conversion rate. They saw a 4% lift in add to cart. They saw a $15 lift in AOV, and they saw nearly a $13,000 lift in revenue during this time period. Now, what we were doing is we were simply just helping the customer do the math rather than customers having to do the math themselves. So we're counting down how close they are to free shipping on the product page, right near that CTA. So that way, when they find that item, whether it's a pair of socks, it's a shirt, it's a hat, it's joggers, whatever it is, maybe it's the new makeup, you're like unlocking that offer and you're being really clear on it. But what's so fascinating about this is when we displayed that the customer unlocked the offer on the product page, they were spending more money. So they were adding the cart more once they saw that they unlocked the offer. They were increasing their AOV once they saw that they unlocked the offer, which just led to more revenue. Now, the extra caveat to this, which I think is so fascinating and a huge takeaway for everybody listening right now, is hold the customer's hand even further. So if you're $10 to $15 away from free shipping, rather than just telling the customer, hey, you're $10 or $15 away from free shipping, and having them go have to search your site for the cheapest thing to get that free shipping, take them to your product collection that is maybe your sale items or your cheap items, or maybe recommend that one extra like pair of gloves or the thing that's like your biggest seller, but at the the lowest dollar amount to help that customer unlock the offer, because they're just going to be so thankful that they did that and also feel like they've really like hacked your website in the best possible way to get free shipping. So
the worst is
yeah.
when they say you have like $2 and you're like, you don't even sell anything for $2.
Yes.
It's so annoying. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Sam. You got about 30 seconds and anything final insights, and then I'm going to announce the winner and we're get
Yeah,
everyone
I
off.
mean, I could talk about this forever, but I won't. But if you want to chat about it with me more, definitely, let's find time. What I was going to say was like continuing on the theme of kind of using the period up to Black Friday to test offers, especially when you have all this extra time that I kind of mentioned. One of the great things to do is actually test offer messaging. So, for example, we had one customer who used that period, the pre-sale period, to test something like the ceiling, like 40% off select items versus like an absolute guaranteed promo or concrete deal, like 25% off everything. And it's something where like, you know, customers are always learning the tips and tricks and understanding the ways to get around things. So actually testing how you're communicating and meeting people where they are is super important. And in this particular case, giving that concrete 25% off one, but it might be different for you. So it's like, keep testing every time you have a promo, find a group, find the period up ahead, and like just test your communication in addition to like the blended actual offer.
Love it. Love it. That was so
30 seconds.
good job. All right, drum roll. Woo. That didn't sound like a drum roll at all. We have a winner, and it is Brent. Everyone had amazing participation. I was LOLing at seeing you guys fight for that swag bag. If you, Brent, if you want us to get that sent over to you, just send your address over to this email, just your personal, well, home address or even your work address, if that's easier. We're going to get everything shipped over to you. You're going to get a $75 gift card, a bunch of awesome swag.
Give us sizes.
Yeah, sizes would be helpful as well. Thank you. Appreciate that. Last question for all of you guys, final check-in. Was this helpful for you guys? Just put helpful in the chat if it was. And if it wasn't helpful, then, you know, it's over at this point. So I guess it doesn't matter. Well, we'll use that as insight for next time. Okay, cool. I loved the advice as well of more visuals, so we'll definitely take that into account. Thank you everyone for an amazing webinar. All of the panelists, you guys were amazing. So many good ideas. And I just hope that everyone can take away and actually get to work on all these ideas over like literally the only week that we have left before Christmas. Yes, the recording will be shared to anyone that registered. And you guys can listen back to it and share it with your colleagues as well. We also will be sharing links to the websites of everyone that was involved here if you want to check them out. And I know everyone on this call would be happy to get you guys set up with a free trial and onboarding to experience any of the platforms that were referenced. So thank you, everyone. Have an amazing Christmas and happy holidays. And we'll see you guys at our next webinar in January. Bye, everyone.